The camera starts rotating around him, a slow, suffocating, spiraling orbit.
The camera pans slowly from the door, stopping first on Duke Jong giggling.
He stays perfectly still, almost pinned in place. The lens glides in a circle.
Nambuk comes into focus, under harsh surgical light.
It makes you feel the dizziness, the imbalance, the panic he's too sedated to express.
Duke-soo, bathed in dark shadows, face hidden, radiating menace. The camera pans the hallway. Tenants circling Jungwoo's door with weapons, dread mounting.
And then, slowly, his body gives out. His knees soften, his shoulders drop, and he just falls. He rolls slightly, just enough for his temple to smash into the wall, at one holding up his bag. Then the bag drops like dead weight, straight onto Jungwoo's head. No mercy, no warning, just smack. And this is the moment that finally breaks the drug haze. But he doesn't bolt up, he doesn't gasp. He rises slowly, painfully, like he's waking from a nightmare he can't escape. His eyes open first, unfocused, glazy. Munjo presses his eye to the peephole in the adjoining wall. He watches Jungwoo in his drugged, dazed state and chuckles to himself, that low, chilling laugh that makes you want to immediately check under your bed. He joins the others in the hallway. He leans close to Jeok-soo and whispers something that could only come from the mind of a very twisted toy collector. Jungwoo is my toy, so don't touch. As he says it, the other tenants slump their heads like little kids just told by their dad that the cookie jar is off limits. Oh, we're not allowed. Flash forward to that morning. Munjo is on the rooftop watching Jungwoo leave for work, and he stares, just stares. There goes my little toy. Jeok-soo says, will he be the new replacement for Ki-hyuk? Munjo gives no response. He doesn't move. He doesn't blink. He keeps staring at nothing. He finally turns to Jeok-soo, slow, deliberate, and delivers the line with chilling calm. Don't judge a book by its cover. In the present, Jungwoo forces himself upright from the bed. It's all amplified by the cinematography's tight angles. Then he notices something. The dust he had carefully scattered as a protective measure. It's gone. His eyes widen. The camera slowly zooms in on his shocked expression. Every moment deliberate, tense. He storms into the empty hallway, the camera pulling back to a wide shot. The cinematography here emphasizes solitude. Jungwoo barks through the window towards Bok-soo's office. Someone's broken into my room. No one would do such a thing, but Jungwoo doesn't have the patience for laughter. He demands. No, he insists.
He points at the CCTV. The angle jumps high above, making him look small.
Bok-soo tuts. The camera is too old, broken.
The camera cuts
He didn't
to
open
a
the door.
wide-angle shot from above, looking down on him.
Jungwoo flips through the CCTV footage, like a man possessed. The camera mirrors his frantic energy. There he is, Nambuk, standing outside his door, just there, motionless, watching, waiting. Bok-soo shrugs, calm as ever. Nambuk sleepwalks. The screen captures him perfectly framed, a living threat rendered in stark, clinical, black and white. He stares at the CCTV footage, reaching for the door, and then the screen goes snowy. Jungwoo, however, is convinced the world is conspiring and he won't be ignored. He stalks out into the hallway, reaches Nambok's door and bangs on it. Heavy, decisive blows that echo down the hall. Frustrated, he attacks the handle and it swings open to reveal an empty room. Nambok's voice floats from the other end of the hallway. Here I am. Jungwoo storms over and he finally says, did you go into my room?
Did you touch my drum set? Nope.
Nambuk laughs like a man who knows he's untouchable. He starts to walk away, smirking, but Jungwoo yanks him back with a growl. The camera is cutting close on both their faces. Nambuk leans in slightly. Try me, and I'll kill you. The two men square off. You went in my room. Then, from behind them, Ki-hyuk appears. calm, composed. Jung-woo realizes with a jolt that it's not really Ki-hyuk, it's Mun-jo. Of course it is. Ki-hyuk's dead. And for a brief, terrifying second, he had imagined it was Ki-hyuk. The camera lingers on the frozen tenants, slow pan, tight close-ups on their startled expressions. The hallway stretches unnaturally long. These people smiling at me right now are terrifying. He thinks back to Hee-jong, the gangster. That's why Hee-jong was so scared, he realizes. Camera zooms slowly into his eyes. The focus razor sharp, every blink and micro-expression highlighted. Jung-woo retreats to his room, tension crackling with every step. Mun-jo knocks gently on Jung-woo's door. Want to have a drink together? The camera cuts low over Jung-woo's shoulder, capturing Mun-jo from below. The angle stretches him, makes him look taller. Every inch of his posture radiates control. Every shadow, every subtle movement reinforces that he is the one in charge. As they ascend to the rooftop, Jung-woo pauses at the door to the abandoned full floor. Mun-jo shrugs, perfectly calm. I didn't hear anything. One of the women used to own a cat. It still prowls around sometimes. And then the audience catches a glimpse of the real threat. The cat prowling just beyond the frame isn't a cat at all. It's the fortune teller woman Bok-soon had taken home for torture. She's tied up in the shadows, framed to the side of the shot, a deliberate cut that keeps her partially obscured, teasing danger without revealing everything. A high-angle shot looks down on her, making her small, fragile, and utterly vulnerable. On the rooftop, the sea stretches in front of them. Mun-jo slowly pans his phone across the skyline, and then deliberately turns it to Jung-woo. He hits the record button, only wanting to record Jung-woo. Clearly this guy has it bad for Jung-woo. Jung-woo freezes, a deer in headlights, brow furrowed. He blurts out, are you filming me? Mun-jo shrugs casually. You look nice, he says, slipping the phone back into his pocket. Cinematography emphasizes the dynamic. Low-angle shots of Mun-jo make him tower over Jung-woo. Red light highlights his dominance, while Jung-woo stands off-center, small and vulnerable against the city skyline. You really wanted to kill that man, didn't you? Mun-jo leans slightly closer, red light pointing his face like a silent warning. Mun-jo asserts that Jung-woo feels different from the others. You must be worried that just living here will make you weird. Wait, he's kind of attractive. Oh no, I'm thinking of Sang-hwa. No, not into psycho-killer dentists. Or am I? Mun-jo's movement is subtle but intimate. Jung-woo's phone rings, breaking the moment. He awkwardly excuses himself to take the call. Mun-jo tilts his head slightly, monotone, still and calm in control. Okay, sure. Jung-woo leans against the cold, narrow stairwell wall, phone pressed to his ear. It's his mother. Her voice wavers as she explains. Your brother had a seizure. I can't cover the medical bill. She assures him the injury is minor, then tentatively asks, could you spare 200,000 or 300,000 won? Roughly 200 to 300 pound. Jung-woo asks for the exact amount. She hesitates, then apologizes softly. The stairwell is bathed in red emergency lighting from the rooftop. It visually signals that Jung-woo had just escaped the danger. He pulls out his phone and opens his banking app. He types 300,000 won, pauses. Then he decides to wire 500,000 won. Oh, what a good son. Even after the tension of the rooftop, after facing Mun-jo's quiet dominance, Jung-woo shows what kind of person he is. Responsible, careful, and compassionate. The red lighting isn't just danger, it's a frame for his bravery and generosity. On the stove, what appears to be bloody mushrooms bubbles violently. Bok-soon hunches over the counter, syringe in hand, pumping in a deep red liquid into multiple bottles of tonic. The liquid glistens in the harsh overhead light, each drop catching just enough gleam to look sinister. Each frame screams something is being prepared, something unnatural. The Goshwan is transformed from a mundane living space into a chamber of suspense. Cinematography, lighting, and framing turn the simple act of mixing a drink into a cinematic moment dripping with tension, mystery, and just the right amount of horror. In her room, Bok-soon shoves a red box into her bag. She steps inside the elderly woman's home. The camera stays static, focused on Bok-soon's torso. As she walks through the doorway, we see the elderly woman on her bed, backlit by the single window. The elderly woman pouts softly, remarking that Bok-soon is late for her visit. Bok-soon, calm and deliberate, explains she's been busy with the Goshwan. She then pulls a doctored tonic from her bag and urges the woman to drink. The camera cuts to a close-up of the elderly woman's hand trembling slightly as she finishes the bottle, emphasizing her trust and her imminent vulnerability. Bok-soon gently helps her lie down, the frame wide enough to show her guiding the woman without losing focus on the tension in the room. As soon as the woman is unconscious, Bok-soon quickly moves through the room. Tracking shot follows her hands and eyes, scanning the furniture and drawers. In his room, Jung-woo pauses, before bed uneasy. When Joe's friendly smile, you call that a friendly smile? Anyway, lingers in his mind, charming on the surface, yet deeply unsettling. To feel some control, he shoves his suitcase against the door, barricading himself in. The camera lingers on the small, dimly lit room. Shadows stretch across the wall from the single overhead light, emphasizing the confined space and Jung-woo's anxiety. In his dreams, Jung-woo is back in military service. He watches Sergeant Joe brutally beats another officer, but as the camera pans closer, slow, creeping motion, it isn't Sergeant Joe at all. The other Jung-woo smirks. See, this is how you deal with people like this jerk. The camera pans down slowly to reveal Nambuk lying unconscious and bloody beneath him. The frame is tight and claustrophobic, emphasizing Jung-woo's horror at the act and the absurdity of being the proprietor in his own nightmare. Jung-woo turns slightly. It's Deok-jung standing behind him, giggling as usual. The dream shifts. Ki-hyuk at the Goshwan echoed words fill the frame.
저희가 원래 이런 곳이 아닌데 놀랬죠.
Bok-soon.
여기 이제 정말 좋은 청년들만 남았어, 그치?
너 같은 놈 보면 딱 알아. 웃어봐.
웃어보라고.
오빠가 너무 예민한 건 아닐까?
Ji-yoon chiding him for being overly sensitive, and Jae-ho ordering him to smile, exaggerated and oppressive. Finally, the dream returns to its starting point. Munjo appears behind him. His voice is calm, certain. You're different.
저희가 원래
여기 이제
오빠가 너무 예민한 건 아닐까?
여기 이제 정말 좋은 청년들만 남았어.
저희가 원래 있는 게 아닌데 놀랬죠.
오빠가 너무 예민한 건 아닐까?
Jung-woo wakes. He notices the early morning light spilling naturally into the room and realizes every night at the Goshwan, nightmares have followed him. Jung-woo stands by his desk, quietly going about his own business, when reporter Joe strolls in, immediately taking over the space. The camera opens with a wide shot, showing Jung-woo rigid and tense, while Joe's relaxed frame dominates the doorway. The contrast is immediate, quiet diligence versus overconfident swagger. Reporter Joe makes himself at home instantly. He casually asks Jung-woo to fetch nail clippers from the drawer. Jung-woo opens it to find them next to a photo of co-worker Yoo-jung. A quick close-up of the photo, then Jung-woo's reaction injects a touch of unease. Next, reporter Joe requests iced coffee and a snack while Jung-woo obeys. Satisfied, reporter Joe officially appoints Jung-woo as his personal coffee maker. Leaning back in his chair, a smirk on his face. The camera cuts to a low-angle shot of Joe, exaggerating his authority. But every camera angle, every framing choice ensures the audience feel the power imbalance, the tension, and the subtle comedy of the moment. Joe rambles about the gauche one, imagining the strange tenants, joking that one might even be a serial killer. Joe mentions the infamous internet cafe killer. The camera lingers on Jung-woo's deadpan expression, tight close-ups, letting the audience enjoy the humour against Joe, over-the-top speculation. But Jung-woo corrects him. The man looked happy, laughing, not oppressed. The tense moment in the office, Jung-woo awkwardly sitting at his desk, reporter Joe's presence dominating, is suddenly broken by the arrival of the rest of the staff. Reporter Joe notices Jae-ho isn't with them, pausing, then deciding to take his leave, the camera following him in a tracking shot emphasizing his casual exit from the controlled chaos he created. Byung-min notices his nail clippers are missing, then pans to Jung-woo sitting still and calm. Reporter Joe wanted them, Jung-woo replies, simply turning back to his work. The camera follows the narrative with a quick cut to a two-shot of Jae-ho and Ji-yoon in a nearby cafe, slightly isolated from the office, making the moment intimate. Jae-ho pouts when Ji-yoon asks about Jung-woo. His expression in a tight close-up conveys frustration. He's just sensitive, Jae-ho gripes. Ji-yoon tilts her head, skeptical. Do you think something's really happening, she asks. Jae-ho waves her off, shaking his head. Nah, Jung-woo's just feeling sorry for himself. Camera tracking her movement across the frame, highlighting her care. But manager Han notices them parting. Is that your boyfriend, she asks, smirks curling. Ji-yoon, barely settled. Han Gu-eun doesn't waste time. She pulls Ji-yoon aside. You're conducting the interview tomorrow. Ji-yoon hesitates, trying to assert herself. We've discussed my workload before. I have prior engagements tomorrow. I won't be able to do the interview. Cinematography alternates between tight close-ups, Han's glowering face, jaw tight, eyes piercing. Every feature radiates authority. Ji-yoon, slight hunched, framed from behind, emphasizing her smallness and the weight of the confrontation. Before the tension escalates further, another employee enters the frame calmly. They inform Han that the interview has already been arranged with the marketing team. Han masks her irritation instantly with praise. Good work handling it, she says, pointedly to the employee. The camera then lingers on Ji-yoon, small and isolated, realizing her plan has been undermined. Ji-yoon's phone rings. A brief interruption, she quickly sets it aside, trying to maintain composure. Manager Han's eyes narrow and guesses immediately it's Jung-woo. Her tone isn't a question, it's a command. Ji-yoon hesitates and then answers. She cuts him off quickly, brushing aside concerns about his room. I'm busy, she says firmly, voice clipped, tone leaving no room for argument. As Ji-yoon hangs up, a sense of autonomy, Manager Han is already walking down the hall. The camera frames her from a slightly high angle, showing her smallness in the space and emphasizing the lingering pressure of the encounter. Jung-woo stands on the street. He sends a text, "Are you okay?" He glances up at the police station across the way, debating whether to go in. The camera frames him from a slight low angle, subtly emphasizing his isolation in the empty street and the weight of the decision before him. Suddenly, Jang-hwa approaches from behind.
I am very, very sneaky, sir.
Her presence breaking the quiet tension. She notices his unease. Jung-woo mummers, voice low and distracted. "I haven't been sleeping." A medium two-shot frames them, showing distance yet tentative connection, and hands her the notebook he'd found from the previous occupant of his room. She leans closer, voice careful. "Have you noticed anything strange at the Eden Goshwon?" Jung-woo hesitates, eyes darting briefly. He mentions the weird noise he's been hearing on the 4th floor, but he stops mid-sentence. The camera cuts to a subtle over-the-shoulder shot. Bok-soon stands across the street, barely visible, over Jung-hwa's shoulder, watching intently. The focus shifts rapidly between Jung-woo's worried face and Bok-soon's unreadable expression. Jung-woo, sensing the gaze, quickly excuses himself. Nearly sprinting up the street, a handheld, slightly shaky camera follows him, emphasizing his anxiety and the urgency of the moment. While Jung-hwa stands frozen, confused, as she watches him disappear. When Bok-soon returns to the Goshwoon, Bok-soon immediately encounters Mun-jo. The camera frames Mun-jo from below, his silhouette imposing, his calm dominance filling the frame. Bok-soon, in contrast, is framed slightly off-center and at a medium height. Bok-soon leans in. Jung-woo meets with Jung-hwa often, even giving her something this morning. Cut to a young man standing awkwardly outside Bok-soon's office, shifting his weight nervously. The camera frames him through the hallway, peering past doors and corners, slowly panning in as the building itself is leaning towards him, alive, ready to consume him. Bok-soon notices him and pops out suddenly, grinning like a cat ready to pounce. She swoops in and grabs his hand in a gesture that's equal parts persuasive and terrifying. She starts explaining to him, kimchi and eggs included, unbeatable price, but the young man doesn't need to hear more as he recoils, his movements jerky, panicked. He backs away and rapidly turns and bolts out of the frame. Good on him. That hand she grabbed could have ended up in her kimchi plate tonight. At Eden Goshiwan, the twins are busy playing Jenga with Bok-soon, the camera capturing them in tight, medium shots, emphasizing the domestic calm before the storm. The scene has sterile blue lighting, highlighting the ordinary chaos of the Goshiwan.
가만있어 봐. 그러지 말고 우리 내기할까? 무슨 내기요? 스무고까지 걸기.
The calm is interrupted by Jung-hwa's arrival. She recalls Jung-woo's warning about the strange noises. The camera following her in tracking shots as she moves towards the infamous 4th floor, her steps hesitant, cautious. Jung-hwa reaches the 4th floor. A slow pushing close-up on the door frame emphasizes vulnerability and anticipation, and the camera cuts to Nambuk.
Jang-hwa opens the 4th floor door. Nam-bok snaps his head around, eyes cold and watchful. Stepping into the dark corridor. She switches on her flashlight, the narrow beam cutting through the shadows, as she moves cautiously down the hallway. Every step feels dangerous.
Hiding in the farthest room, knife in hand. Holding the fortune teller to keep her quiet. As she moves cautiously, bypassing the closed door, she enters the operating room. The camera pans slowly, revealing the pristine dentist chair, out of place, sterile, almost surreal against the decrepit surroundings. A medium wide shot accentuates the surroundings, making the room feel like a trap disguised as normality. As she passes Nambuk's door, he slips out behind her. The camera cuts to handheld, shaking slightly, and the uncertainty of movement in the dark, empty floor. Zhanghua senses a presence. She freezes. The camera moves with her, flashlight sweeping across the hallway. The beams reveal only emptiness. The tension is palpable. The camera lingers on the empty hallway, then cuts to Nambuk darting into a side room, hidden once again. The interplay of light and shadow keeps the audience on edge, unsure where the danger is lurking. And she manages to leave the full floor and shut the door behind her. And back on the full floor, Nambuk returns to the room, expecting the fortune teller to be waiting. The fortune teller is gone. Shadows stretch along the cracked walls, highlighting his isolation. He begins to search, moving methodically, the camera tracking him with a handheld, slightly shaky motion. Suddenly, he freezes as a subtle noise echoes behind him, showing Nambuk darting towards a corner. The angle switches to a wide shot, framing him in the center of the room, showing Nambuk darting towards a corner. She cleverly locks him in the operating room. Meanwhile, the fortune teller's hobbies, Boksoon and the twins howl over the Jenga game. A medium close-up of Nambuk's frustrated face shows panic creeping in. Meanwhile, the fortune teller hobbles towards the stairwell door. The camera follows her in a tracking shot, moving smoothly, to contrast with the chaotic, panicked movement of Nambuk behind her. Boksoon and the twins howl over the Jenga game. The camera cuts to them in a wide static shot, their mundane noise starkly juxtaposed against the tension of Nambuk and the fortune teller. This split of calm and chaos makes the audience feel the absurdity and horror simultaneously. All the noise finally drives Boksoon over the edge. The Jenga tower topples with a loud crash. The camera cuts to a close-up of her angry face as she storms off to investigate the commotion. Meanwhile, the fortune teller stumbles down the stairs. And as she exits the residence, she grabs onto the first person that she sees. First, the camera just shows the man's torso as she pleads for help. It's clever. The audience doesn't see the full character yet. We see the face of the man she clutches, the lovely, sweet Munjo. Or so it seems. The soft light highlights his perfect features, giving the impression of concern for a moment, but the illusion quickly shatters as he repeats, voice flat and chilling, "Then you should crawl." The camera cuts to a low-angle shot, giving him immense presence. The background blurs, keeping Munjo sharply in focus, forcing your eyes straight to him. The sweet facade disappears, replaced by a predator who is calm, commanding, and utterly terrifying. For a split second, there is a hint of concern, then it vanishes completely. The fortune teller is helpless, caught between fear and strategy. Wide shots show the Goshi-1 residents crowding around her as she prays desperately for her life. Munjo stands back, his smirk almost casual. as he remarks, "Praying is pointless. You're gonna die anyway." He steps back and leaves, and the other residents move in. The camera cuts to the fortune teller's face as they force her mouth open, while Bok-soon approaches her with that horrible red liquid in hand. The lighting is low, the shadows long, emphasizing her dominance and menace. Close up on the jug, the camera lingers just enough for the audience to recognize the crimson liquid as the mushroom water. Bok-soon assures her, calm and precise, "You'll be dead soon after drinking this." That is immediately stifled as the jug is poured down her throat. Medium wide shots frame the struggle, combining horror with meticulous visual storytelling. The audience see control, fear, the inevitability of her fate. Now, back to Jong-woo. Jong-woo and his colleagues head out for after-work drinks. The camera opens with a wide shot of the group laughing, glass clinking, and warm golden glow of the light in the bar. Jong-woo sits slightly apart, framed in a medium close-up, shoulders tense and subdued. The cinematography emphasizes his isolation despite the cheerful chaos around him. The group leaves. Jong-woo receives a phone call with no answer. His expression tightens, a flicker of concern. The camera lingers slightly on the empty streets behind him, shallow depth of field blurring the background, highlighting his solitude amidst the crowd moving on without him. A woman tries to sell flowers as they pass by. While the others shrug her off, Jong-woo stops as he reaches out to buy a flower. Young-ju notices and coos, asking if it's for his girlfriend. Two-shot framing captures their interaction. Jong-woo, calm, reflective. Jong-woo hands Yoo-jung his flower, the camera tracking the gesture, slowly highlighting the intimacy of the moment. His eyes glance back at the flower woman, and the scene cuts to a flashback. Warm, saturated tones of his mother hustling at the fish market. The camera lingers on her hands and smiling face, recalling his memories in tender cinematic detail. Jong-woo's inner voice reminds us how his mother wanted him to be treated well. Back in the present, medium shots show skeevy Jae-ho. He comments that without Yoo-jung, the men could have a fun evening. He presses Jong-woo on what he thinks of Yoo-jung, hinting she has a crush on him. Jong-woo calmly denies it. He asks Jae-ho if he can stay over for a few days. Jae-ho immediately shuts Jong-woo down, sharp, clipped, dismissive. "I've got work this weekend," he says, "and I don't allow guests." The last line lands with a thud, and the camera lingers on Jong-woo just long enough to show how alone he feels. The group gathers again and begins walking to the next bar for a round of drinks, and then Yoo-jung falls in step beside Jong-woo. She smiles up at him, saying she's grateful he works with them. But before the audience can breathe, Byung-min barges between them. Jong-woo's phone pings. We see the text, "Don't you just want to kill them?" Jong-woo spins around. And there, at the end of the shadowy alleyway, stands Moon-jo. The lighting isolates him completely. Everything behind him is swallowed in darkness, but Moon-jo remains unnervingly clear. Like the world itself refuses to hide him, Jong-woo bolts after him, the camera following in a tight handheld sprint, the frame shaking just enough to pump adrenaline into the audience's veins. Jong-woo moves through narrow alleyways, lit only by faint fluorescent buzz. As he runs, we hear his breath echo with his thoughts. How do I handle this? What do I do? The police won't believe me. He hasn't done anything. The cinematography locks us inside Jong-woo's panic, the camera darting at every corner with him, searching for Moon-jo's silhouette. He senses someone behind him. The camera slows, suspenseful pushing from behind Jong-woo's shoulder. Is it Moon-jo? Is the nightmare about to become real? It's just a drunk guide stumbling into the alley. A release of tension. The camera pulls back smoothly, widening the frame, as if the world exhales with him. Jung-woo shakes his head, half laughing, half terrified, and rejoins the others. The camera opens on the group at a small pub, cramped tables, golden light, and the low buzz of chatter. A wide shot captures the whole crew, beer glasses half empty, dishes scattered, but the blocking tells the real story. Jae-ho is in the centre, like he thinks he's the main character. Jae-ho starts bragging about his school days. He turns to Jung-woo. Isn't that right? I was the popular guy. The camera cuts to Jung-woo, but his eyes keep darting to his phone. Even the lighting isolates him. Warm pub tones all around. But a cooler shadow drapes him, like his worries are following him everywhere. And by the time Byung-min returns from the bathroom, Jung-woo laying on the table, world slightly spinning around him. The cinematography makes the pub feel small, claustrophobic. The camera lingers in a tight close-up on Jung-woo's face, flushed, eyelids heavy, pupils swimming. The perfect portrait of a man who shouldn't be giving advice in the state. And then Jung-woo finally says, Byung-min, I have to tell you something. He frowns, squints, like he's trying to read a text message without his glasses, and drops the bomb. Don't look at women's asses at work. What are you, a pervert? He slams the table. Crack. The sound peaks, rattling the glasses. When did you ever see me do that? Yoo Jung bursts into the frame. She literally breaks the shot's composition. I'll report you for sexual harassment. The camera pulls back into a wide group frame as she blurts, Jae-ho's fighting someone outside. This is where the editing quickens. Cut, 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 cut. Jae-ho red-faced and wild. A drunk stranger yelling back. Sang-min caught between them, like a malfunctioning traffic cone. And some random dude holding up his phone, recording like it's his big break on TikTok. The visuals mimic the tension of the bar fight that's just seconds away from becoming viral content. Jung-woo staggers in, face slack with drunken bravado, and roars, "Bring it on!" The camera frames him slightly below, a low angle reserved for heroes, except here it makes him look ridiculous, reckless, and seconds away from getting flattened. Everyone freezes. It's a perfect blend of comedy and disaster. Inside the taxi, the camera lingers just long enough for us to notice what the driver does. Eden Goshi-1 isn't on the map, no pin, no listing, just empty space. Already, the scene feels wrong. He whispers, barely conscious, "Let me out, anywhere but there. This place doesn't exist." Are you sure? We're seeing Jung-woo the way the driver sees it, a broken man trying to avoid home. Brutally honest, wide shot on the backseat. Jung-woo is drooling on the upholstery. Not dramatic, not violent, just painfully human. Cut to Jae-yoon and Jae-ho. Jae-ho casually lies that he sent Jung-woo home safely, and then in the phone call asks if she wants to meet him.
오빠 어딘데?
가고 있어. 너한테.
The driver turns sharply. We're seeing Jung-woo the way the driver sees him, a broken man trying to avoid home. The driver sighs, reaches back, and the camera switches to a shaky handheld close-up of his hand rummaging through Jung-woo's bag. There's no music, there's no soft rustle or fabric of streetlights. The driver gives up. He gets out of the car and grabs hold of Jung-woo. He picks him up out the taxi and then puts his arm around him and then drops him off at the police station. Inside the station is cold fluorescent blue lighting. Jianghua says to the taxi driver, "I've got him, I'll take care of him." A and when Jong-woo shifts on the chair, his phone slips out of his pocket and hits the floor. Then the cinematography shifts into nostalgia. Colours desaturated, edges soften, and faint haze rolls over the frame. We see him looking up at Eden Go-shi-won for the very first time, bright, hopeful, naive. We see him standing in front of Eden Go-shi-won for the very first time. Instead of entering, he turns and don't step a foot in the place and carries on the rest of his day without no worries. Cut to the present, Jong-woo curled up in the police station, and he wanders through the dream and the delirium. Where did everything go wrong? The camera holds on him longer than it's comfortable, because this is the moment the show wants you to feel pity, dread, and the inevitability all at once. Ji-yoon and Jae-ho sit in their separate taxis as they talk on the phone. He's trying to persuade her to come and meet him, but she declines and says, "No, I'm gonna go and see Jong-woo." Ji-yoon is standing outside the Eden Go-shi-won, alone, silent, framed in the dead centre, like prey frozen in the beam of a hunter's flashlight. Oh no. Back inside the station, Jung-hwa wakes Jong-woo. The lighting is sharp, unflattering, fluorescent, the kind that makes every tired wrinkle look deeper. The camera switches to tight close-ups of Jong-woo practically invading his personal space. His eyes shimmer, welling up as he whispers, "I'm scared." It's the first time he admits it, and the cinematography forces the audience to witness every flicker of shame and fear. He tries to explain the residents, the noises, the atmosphere, but before the words can leave his mouth, ping, the sound slices through the quiet. The camera cuts abruptly to a close-up of his phone. I'm at the Go-shi-won, Ji-yoon. The blood drains from Jong-woo's face. Cut to the Eden Go-shi-won. Ji-yoon stands in front of the entrance, framed in a static wide shot. She hesitates, looks up, then a shadow moves behind her. As she turns around, Moon-jo steps into the frame. The cinematography shifts dramatically. The camera tilts upward from his waist to his face. Wide-angle lens creates a subtle distortion. Moon-jo says, "Oh, are you here for Jong-woo?" The camera cuts to Ji-yoon through Moon-jo's POV, slightly off-center, as if studied rather than looked at. Moon-jo, soft, disarming, lethal. You're Ji-yoon. You're just as pretty as Jong-woo described." The line hangs in the air like a blade. The camera cuts to Ji-yoon. In a tight medium shot, her spine stiffens. A flicker of discomfort passes through her expression, but she forces a polite smile. She lies smoothly. "He said you were really nice neighbours." Moon-jo's expression shifts. The cinematography makes this moment suffocating. Moon-jo, velvet and smooth. "Come in. You can wait for him inside." But the slow turning of a predator following a scent, like he's inviting her into a trap, a lamb stepping into a tiger's den. The camera pans up high and looks down on her and Moon-jo, that she's just walked into the lion's den.
Ji-yoon climbs the Goshi-won stairwell. Every step echoes too loudly. As she grabs the railing, she pulls back her hand, horrified, chewing gum. Before she can recoil, she bumps into Bok-soon, and her voice slices through the silence. Bok-soon, too cheerful. "Ah, you must be Jong-woo's girlfriend." June tries to excuse herself, but Bok-soon reaches out and grabs her sticky hand with a grip too firm and pulls her inside. The camera switches to a handheld close-up mimicking June's rising panic. Bok-soon drags her into the kitchenette, the room lit by the harsh overhead bulb that makes the shadows too long. The second Jung-hwa's patrol car stops, Jung-woo explodes out of it. A tracking shot follows him, sprinting through the narrow hallway. His voice echoes, "Ji-yoon! Ji-yoon!" The camera whip pans as he searches. He hears a giggle from the kitchen. That oh too similar giggle. His blood drains from his face. He sprints towards the sound. He strides towards her, gripping her arm gently but urgently, pulling her toward the door. "Let's go outside, I need to tell you something." But Ji-yoon yanks her arm out of Jung-woo's grip, and she replies, "What is wrong with you?" Jung-hwa and her partner are framed in a two-shot, slightly off-center, as if they don't quite belong in this place. Uniforms in a den of wolves. He tries again to guide her away, and this time, she lets him. The moment they step outside, the lighting shifts dramatically. Her posture makes the night feel even colder. Cinematography focuses on the distance between them. I told you not to come here alone. I told you how dangerous these people are." Ji-yoon is centered, rigid, refusing to shrink. And as Jung-woo tries his hardest to take her home, she darts her arm away from him, saying no, she don't want to, and that she will talk to him tomorrow. But Jung-hwa ensures him that she'll get her home safely. The patrol car moves slowly down the street. And as June sits stiffly in the back seat of the patrol car, jaw tight, refusing to look outside, Jung-hwa sits next to her, keeping her steady, but something pulls her attention to the rear window. The camera switches to a POV shot from Jung-hwa's perspective. In the distance, on the rooftop of the Eden Goshi-won, Moon-jo stands perfectly still, bathed in cold blue light. He simply watches them leave, silent and still. The camera lingers just long enough to communicate the weight of his gaze. And when we get a close-up of Jung-hwa's eyes, widening slightly as she's noticed him, she doesn't speak, her mouth tightens, and she swallows hard. Back to Jung-woo, he walks slowly along the landing of the Goshi-won, and from the staircase, Moon-jo walks down, arms crossed over his chest, projecting that "who hurt my toy" protective energy. Moon-jo says in a calm, teasing, and protective undertone, "You saw the police, everything okay?" Jung-woo responds, dismissive and uneasy, "Yeah, nothing to worry about." Moon-jo's eyes linger on him though, protective, yet unnervingly intense. Then he uncrosses his arms, letting them fall to his sides, softening slightly as he continues. "Wanna get drinks tomorrow? We can talk about your novel." Jung-woo stiffens. "I'm meeting my girlfriend tomorrow, I can't." And Moon-jo's expression flickers briefly, a touch of sadness, like a small pout. Then he smirks again and continues, down the hallway, and he sits alone in a comfortable red chair, the only splash of colour in the otherwise empty full floor. Next to him, a tungsten lampshade casts a warm, honey gold glow, steady, soft, completely unfazed by the darkness around it. He reads the Metamorphosis with his unusual stillness, turning pages with almost ceremonial care. When he reaches the spine of the book, he deliberately slips his fingers in and lifts out a tucked photo. Jong-woo and Ji-yoon smiling. The tungsten glow illuminates the photo and part of his face, showing eyes widening slightly, a subtle tension at his jaw, a fleeting hint of emotion, jealousy, longing, irritation. Min-jo places the photo back into the spine with precise, careful fingers. His expression is now neutral again, fully emotionless. He leans forward, picks up a tennis ball, and rolls it in his palm. Then he throws it at the wall, the sound cracks sharply through the room. Whack. A second throw, harder, echoing again. The tungsten light remains perfectly steady during both throws, warm and calm. Then we cut to the corridor. A slow dolly shot moves down the empty hallway of the Goshi-won. The episode ends on this long, lingering shot of the empty corridor. And that's it for episode 5. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit the like button and let me know in the comments, do you want more long 1-hour episodes like this one? Or would you prefer a 20 to 30 minute recap instead? Either way, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss episode 6 when it drops. And a huge thank you to my subscriber Tarpia for keeping this series going, and a special shout out to Mochi for sharing this on her Facebook page just when I was in the editing phase of this video. You know who you are, and you made my day. See you next time.